This is an Am I the A-hole post from a woman. And one thing that I consistently say is that when women post in these Am I the A-hole subreddits and Am I overreacting subreddits, they're simply looking for validation for feeling normal human emotions. Well, this woman says, am I the a-hole for suggesting to my husband that we put his mother in a home? And based off that title alone, I do not believe that this woman is an a-hole. Caretaking is hard, and the way women are, we get all of these things lumped on our shoulders. She's 45. It's quite possible that she has kids, and on top of that, her husband wants her to take care of his mother. Absolutely not the a-hole. But now let's look at the post. So she's 45, he's 56, and the mother is 78. So he wants her to take care of his mother. It says, I and my husband are going through a rough patch. Recently, his mother's health issues have been getting worse, and the doctor has recommended she receive full-time care. Previously, she lived alone, but nurses would come every other day to check on her. My husband thinks the best course of action is moving her into our home. My issue is that I do not want my mother-in-law living with us. She's always been very rude to me and my daughter, who's 11. She was originally against me marrying my husband because we come from two different faiths. He's Mormon, I'm raised Lutheran, but personally agnostic. And because I'm not as traditional as she would like me to be, she is a very traditional woman who believes in rigid gender roles for women. She's attempted to push this belief on my daughter by making comments about what my daughter wears and does. She has made comments to my daughter like, wear leggings with your dress, or else you make God upset. And when God's upset, he sends people to bad places. This has made my daughter feel very ashamed and paranoid. She has also expressed disdain for when my daughter said she wanted to become a veterinarian. My mother-in-law said a proper lady should not work outside the home, focus on raising a family. She also hates me because I work and was very against this. She does not hold the same sentiment towards my son, who's 8. She shows clear favoritism towards my son while consistently criticizing everything my daughter does. While my husband typically defends me in front of his mom, he is adamant we move her into our house. His reasoning is that she is too sick to take care of herself, and his only other brother is ill fit to take care of her. He's in rehab. I suggested then put her in a retirement home, which made him incredibly angry. He says that at the end of the day, this is his mother and he has a duty towards her. He promised that if she moves in, he will talk to her about her attitude towards me and our daughter. However, I don't want to raise my kids anywhere near her. She has been shaming my daughter and I barely get along with her. Last night, out of anger, my husband said, you can move out of the house, but I'm not moving my mother into a retirement home. Am I the a-hole for suggesting my mother-in-law be sent to a home? Edit. Since people are asking, we will continue to have nurses check on my mother-in-law. My husband wants to move her in and switch nurse visits from every other day to every day. Other than this edit, she wasn't in the comments. But right here where it says out of anger, my husband said, you can move out of the house, but I'm not moving my mother into a retirement home. At that point, she could have said, I bet. Because I'm sure that her life would have been so much easier just taking care of her 2 children. And then the 2 children have to periodically go see their daddy anyway. Because caretaking for an elderly person is already hard. Caretaking for an elderly person who dislikes you has to be miserable. So if he wants to take care of his mother full time, say, cool. I got you. You go ahead and do your thing, homie. And I'll try to execute a plan and figure out where I'm going to live. I'm going to grab someone to do my apartment search for me since I have to go to work today too. You know what? These dudes really, they really do volunteer things for the women in their lives. I am volunteering you that you're going to be taking care of my mother, because it's not that he said, I'm going to be hands-on with my mother. He says, I'm going to talk to my mother about her attitude because I need you to still just do all of this work. I don't plan on doing this work. I want you to do all this work. And the answer at this point should be absolutely not, because they really do want women to wear completely out to the nub. Like, we're going to get every little out of you. They want to drain the complete life force out of a woman. Confused Pantalones is how I got tagged into this one. She says, sounds like he wants a nurse for his mom. Stand your ground. And I really do hope that she stands her ground, because nobody deserves all of this. Caretaking is hard work, it's backbreaking labor. And that's the reason why people get paid as a job to do this. Let's look at a few of these comments. Pixie Ann says, not the a-hole. Tell your husband to move in with his mother and he can provide all the care she needs. You will continue to bring up your 2 children. Don't move out. Don't let that nasty old woman move in. Mama Cass says, this seems like the most reasonable idea if he wants in-home care. You and the kids stay put while he moves in with his mother and takes care of those logistics. The kids don't have to be uprooted and he just gets what he wants. Just because he wants in-home care doesn't mean he gets it with you and the kids around. Fantastic Moose says 90% chance he thinks his wife will quit her job or cut back to take care of his mom. Not that he thinks, he expects her to do that. Mama Cass says, that was my thought. If he truly thinks that she needs in-home care with him, then he'll be okay with doing it away from his wife and kids. He can either move into the mother-in-law's current house or move her close by in a small apartment for the 2 of them. He can still see the wife and kids anytime, but they don't have to see the mother-in-law. How long do you think before he's looking at nursing homes? FL Fly says, he won't last 2 weeks in that situation. Why is the sky blue says, he won't last for 2 hours. Mad Cow says, pretty sure he won't last the drive. Saturday says, oh, he is 100% counting on OP to do the actual work of caring for his mother while he gets to pat himself on the back for being a devoted son. And then Monkey Among Men says, I hope the OP sees this. My wife and I cared for her father in his home. Jesus effing Christ, do not do this. The emotional toll, the physical toll, the things her kids will see in many situations. 30% of caregivers die before the people they care for. Put your own safety and sanity. For your own safety and sanity, do not do this. I can't tell you what other option to pursue, but this is not the way. As a caveat, I cared deeply for my father-in-law. He was a good man with a good heart and a stubborn man, a difficult man, but a good man. I picked him up when he fell and broke his femur. I used to race home every day from work knowing this was an inevitability. My wife was up at all times of the night administering injections of pain medication for his cancer. I picked him up when he fell again on the same hip. It took 2 paramedics, a social worker, and 2 police to finally get him into care with a femur that already looked like shattered glass under x-ray. By the time he was in care, it was too late to do any good. My heart aches writing this. We are still left with a brokenness that may never fully heal. Do not do this to your family. To yourself and your family, not the a-hole. And that's precisely it. It's not heartless to say, I cannot do this. We only have so many hours. We only have so much energy level. And this woman has 2 kids and she works. People have to think, why do you want to run your wife down? Why do you want to run your significant other down? And this is not something that is just because you love the other person. No, there are people there are medical professionals that need to look into this. And I know that the way things are going with Medicaid and nursing homes, I get it. There are going to be a lot of really sucky decisions that have to get made. But the thing is also, if it were the men and women, like this person is a man and he was actually taking on some of he was participating in some of the caregiving, which is great. But in reality world where we live, typically it's the woman that is taking on these caretaking roles. And it's draining and it's too much. And we don't have enough community. We don't have enough support. So things have got to change overall. Like it has to be a complete restructuring of things. But until then, in this particular situation, not the a-hole. And this woman needs to preserve her time, energy, and resources for her 2 young kids. Y'all weigh in, though, and let me know what you think. I was tagged in this post yesterday, but it's an update. It's an update to a post that says, am I the a-hole for letting daycare call CPS when my soon-to-be ex-husband failed to pick up our toddler from daycare? Okay, so since this is an update, before we look at the update, let's look at the original post. Here's the first post that was nearly a month ago. She says, we're in a trial separation. He wants half custody. It's been several months and it was the 8th time daycare has called me because he was unable to pick up our toddler. Sometimes he was just a no-show and the daycare will call me because it's already been half an hour since their official close time. Every time the daycare is pissed at me for making them stay over the time and we're charged an extra $2 per minute for being late. They threaten to call the authorities and CPS if we keep doing this. I tried to explain the problem, but daycare doesn't care, as they shouldn't. Well, last week it happened again, and I told daycare to go ahead and call the authorities and CPS. My soon-to-be ex-husband showed up an hour late and met our toddler there with the cops. Daycare also threatened to kick our toddler out. Again, understandably so. My soon-to-be ex-husband was so mad and said I was a cruel mother for abandoning our toddler. I told him I warned him multiple times in the past, and issues only arise when he has custody. We switch each week, trialing house swaps too. I told him repeatedly if he cannot get out of work reliably, he needs to hire a babysitter or nanny, and he cannot rely on me as his primary backup. I'd get it if it was like once or twice a year, or if a babysitter or nanny has plans and they fell through. But if I'm his ex-wife and he has custody, he shouldn't depend on me as his primary backup. And I also felt bad about leaving our toddler, but if we separated, this would only keep happening, and I felt short-term pain might be worth the long-term gain. I felt bad our toddler is caught in the middle, but was I the a-hole for letting daycare call CPS? Relevant details. We're both in high-paying jobs, but I intentionally do not schedule myself to work late on days I have him or I have a nanny/babysitter ready. Now, with the trial separation, I have cut down to half time. I work half days on the days I have our toddler so I can spend time with him and work long days on the days that I'm child-free. He has made no changes in his schedule. And in real life, many of these men do not think that their life or work schedule has to change. And this is actually reflected in our work life and our career trajectories because women's lives do cater and circle around our children. And we're the ones that get called if the child is sick or has an issue at school or whatnot. Women get called. These dudes have got to change their life as well. And he's choosing not to. Okay, let's go. Let's check out some other things. Before we do the update, let's look at a few of these comments. Lurking says, not the a-hole. If he wants to share custody, he needs to do the work half the time or deal with the consequences like an adult. This comment got deleted, but Hero or Devil says, exactly. But if he's like this, chances are he's only insisting on shared custody to get out of paying child support. And then this throwaway account says, yep, that's what I think is going on. I used to babysit for a couple whose marriage ended in divorce. The wife was good, paid me on time, and tried to create a consistent, loving environment for her kids. The husband seemed to want to do his best at first, but he was hardly there because he worked nights. So most of the work of raising their kids and managing their household was left to his wife, who had to work long hours to keep things going. It was such a tough job. Their kids were higher needs and were acting out, especially after things went south for their parents' marriage. The wife let me know when they were separating/divorcing and that I had to be paid separately depending on who had custody time. That was its own nightmare. Then she warned me that her ex was going for a 50-50 and would likely ask me to be a full-time nanny for him because she knew he wouldn't be able to actually be there for his parenting time. 50-50 just so he didn't have to pay more child support. I'm not saying he didn't love his kids. He did, but it was 100% because he didn't want to pay more support. And the thing is, he doesn't want to pay more support, but he's going to have to pay a nanny or a babysitter. Please make this make sense. He can't afford to have his kids there full time and actually parent. So he's begrudging the ex-wife and not wanting to give her child support, but he's willing to pay a babysitter. Their logic is very interesting, to say the least. Here's an update. It's about a month after the initial things happen. And she says, not much to update, but after talking to our lawyers and mediators, it was decided I'll be moving back to our old home with our toddler in another state and resume my old job. We moved less than a year ago for his career. I will have primary custody. He has proven he cannot handle custody. We have agreed on an amount of child support, approximately $4,000 a month. This woman is getting paid $4,000 a month. They agreed through his lawyers and mediators. So for the men that are whining about $400 a month, this man is paying out $1,000 a week for his toddler. Cry about that one. He'll keep our current house once we leave and take on the mortgage. I'll keep our old home after the tenants move out. We're set to move back in 2 months. His lawyer advised him to accept these terms because I have clear documentation of him failing to fulfill his parental obligation, evidence that suggests alienation and career sabotage, and he's lucky I'm not seeking compensation for that. And another reason why she's probably getting so much money is because she is going to have to arrange her career to take care of their kids, and he's not changing up his career. So this is one of the reasons why women's career trajectory and our wages get stagnated because of kids. There is a motherhood penalty because you see how she has to take on more because they get to take on less, and his money has not changed, but now it's changing because he has to pay out this nearly $4,000 a month. She says, to answer some questions, I did not call CPS. The daycare called the cops, not CPS. I was scheduled to work on the weeks he was supposed to pick up our toddler. I did choose to not scramble to get coverage to pick him up, as I was already in trouble for spontaneously leaving every 2 weeks on his weeks to cover him. In addition, getting coverage would take 30 minutes plus, and then another 30 minutes to get to his daycare. Yes, I could have problem solved and asked my friend to pick up, but I did not. Yes, the daycare knew about the child separation and knew it was Dad's day, but since he wasn't coming, they called me. My old job still has needs, so I'll resume there. Most of the days are 7 to 3, but there will be some 12 to 24-hour shifts in which I'll have an au pair. We used to have one, and I'll have family around, my mom and siblings. We have moved away from my family, so my mom can help with occasional pickups if needed. So this woman is a problem solver. She's moving back to her old home where she has support. She has arranged it so that she has to work, or she will work, but on days that she knows that she's not going to be available, she has already problem solved by having an au pair. The man, he was like, I'm not doing any of that. I'm not going to hire a babysitter or nanny. I'm just going to, fall back, and she's going to pick up the slack. And now, because she allowed the cops to be called, she had documentation, and the whole sabotaging her job because he knew that she was going to jump and go fix it. That would impact her job. He did that on purpose. Men do these types of things on purpose to punish a woman for having the nerve to leave. But she has documentation, and she put her ducks in a row, and that's why his lawyer said, look, you better take her up on this and just pay the money out, because they'll have the money. They just don't think that they have to pay. Lamettler says, I don't understand men who want 50-50 custody but don't want 50-50 responsibility. I know most are about money or trying to punish the ex, but damn, people, please think about your children. Do what is best for your children. Independent Win says, seriously, I have a Facebook friend from high school who would always go on there and complain that his ex was keeping his kids from him. One day I caught it before he deleted it, but his ex commented, ripping him to shreds, that he didn't spend any time with the kids when they were living together married, and she picked up all of the slack. How he would come home, ignore everyone, sit in front of the TV, and not want to be bothered until dinner was ready. And that's half the reason she filed for divorce. They only take interest after the fact because they're about to pay through the nose for child support if they don't have a good shared custody agreement. I'm assuming she was using his Facebook wine fest as fodder for the settlement, but had had enough and snapped one day. She was like, let me just, what? You barely even talk to your kids. What are you talking about? They don't even know you, dude. And that's basically what happens. So, is she the a-hole for allowing this to happen? I do not think so, because this is what needed to happen for her to get custody in her. Whoops, I got cut off. This is what allowed her to get her child support. All right, y'all, weigh in. What are your thoughts? Like, comment, and share. Trigger warning, this is a loaded post. As you can see from the windshield behind me, there are going to be themes of violence. All right, let's get to the post. I was sent this post a few times, tagged in it a few times, sent to my inbox a couple of times. This is in the What Should I Do subreddit, and she says, boyfriend kicked in my windshield during an argument. What should I do? Off bat, I'm saying that you should file a police report. You should document everything, take the pictures like she did. Now, I do realize that sometimes Reddits are fake or whatnot. So I took this picture and I tried to search it on Google to see if this was fake or not. I didn't see anything that was directly just this picture. So this very well could be true. So here's the caption. He's 44 years old and 6'4". She's 27 years old and 5'4". So that age gap is already a red flag for me. But he's also 1 foot taller than her. So he's a bigger dude. All right, let's get to the caption. She says, while driving my boyfriend and I home last night, he got super angry and enraged, then ripped my phone out of my hand when he saw I was on the phone with my best friend, and then started kicking my windshield out while I was driving. He then directed me to a Waffle House to drop him off to one of his people. They followed me to my house and he took some clothes for the night, put my phone on the counter, and he left. It was a really, really scary and stressful situation. He's now hitting me up the day after saying, my fault for kicking your window out. These are the reasons why I always told you I don't like arguing, because once I'm there, I'm there. He's never been physical with me, but after last night, I know, God forbid, that'd be next. I know I should file a police report, but I know how he is, and I know that would anger rage him more, which worries me. With his history and witnessing how he gets when angered, he has all of his stuff still here at my house. He talked about coming to get it, but doesn't have somewhere to put it all until he's able to get a place in the next 2 weeks. I told him it's no problem if he if he needs to keep his stuff here till he gets it figured out. He responded, no. What I'm saying is, I'm not comfortable staying somewhere for 2 weeks. Until then, I paid you part of the rent, so it shouldn't be a problem. We don't gotta talk, etc. You mind your business and I'll mind my business like any other time. We don't gotta end as enemies. That's not good. I said, I don't think it's a good idea we're under the same roof after last night. I still need to figure out my windshield and all the glass in my car. He said, I done it, so I'm responsible for it. What will you do? I'm scared calling the police will only escalate the situation, but I'm also a woman who lives alone and now in fear. I feel lost, no idea what to do. I don't care for him to get charged or us get involved with legal stuff. I just want him to get his stuff out and never speak again. I need some input what to do in this situation to keep me safe while not escalating anything. Here's another shot of the damage. As I look at these pictures of the damage that was done to this windshield and that this man is so much bigger than her, I think that this is one of the reasons why men talk about, women just want men that are over 6 feet tall. And I don't believe that this is women saying this. I think that this is men saying this because they want to tower over somebody. They want to show the woman that, look, this is what I could literally do to you. I don't think that it's ever been about a woman's preference to choose someone that is so much bigger than her that could overpower her, because this is those type of situations when you are just way overpowered and out of your league. And I'm not saying that a woman could, just being the same height and weight or similar body types, take on this type of rage. But I do believe that a lot of this is psychological and how they want to just control, even if control is simply by being imposing. And this window is her body by proxy. He is showing her, I could literally crush you and make you, fall apart just like I did to this windshield when you step out of line and you step out of the boundaries that I put around you. He is showing her right here. And I know I'm kind of going all over the place, but this is one of the reasons why I think that they like it when women and girls are very childlike, because I think that they want to control us just like this. Anyways, let's look at, she did do a few updates in the comments. So this is what she's saying. Commenting this here because I'm unable to edit photo posts on mobile, and some other side notes that weren't in the original post or have changed since the original post. I truly don't feel he is a threat until things are escalated and liquor is involved. This all happened last night at like 4:30 in the morning. I already told him we are done. There's no going back. He needs to get his stuff out and we need to go our separate ways. I'm the only person on my lease. This is my house. He hasn't been here yet, and I made it clear he's not welcome here unless it's to get his stuff. He says he can't get all his stuff until he gets a living situation figured out in the next 2 weeks, in which I told him I don't have a problem keeping it in the garage until he's able to get it. But yeah, there's definitely no going back because I know it would only be worse the next time. The crazy thing right here, I truly don't feel he's a threat. That is wild to me, and that's probably why she's been downvoted so much. I just checked. This was the last post. This was the last comment she made, and now it's at -27. She's being downvoted probably because she doesn't see this man as being a threat. He literally just busted out your car window. What does it take to be an actual threat in someone's mind like this? This is bad, but she has kicked him out. They're no longer in a relationship, so she knows that this is not a healthy situation. Panda Global says, don't feel like a threat, but yet he destroyed your windshield. He's a violent person. He's already shown you who he is. Believe it before you end up dead. Edited to add, your insurance will not cover this without a police report. Brutal Burn Dude says, I saw this as someone who has an entire side of the family absolutely ravaged with family violence and abuse. Girl, he won't feel like a threat until it's too late. Listen to the advice you're being given here. Your life depends on it. You can't see it because you're in too deep, but we're seeing the giant flashing warning lights and sirens. Please keep yourself safe. K Diggity says, please, please, please make sure there's someone there with you when he comes to get his stuff. Drizzy says, cops will escort him to get his stuff when he bonds out. Artie Elena says, I've heard tragic stories of cops failing to protect DV victims and even witnessed it. Never rely on police only. Call a strong family member or friend to be with you anytime he is near your apartment or work. We all see that windshield. Red Jade said, if he was that violent over the phone and you don't feel threatened, you are fooling yourself. You should not give him anything. Tell him to get his stuff immediately. Coconut Croc says, please file a police report. A paper trail is so important for people like this to have. Even if you feel like he won't harm you and y'all are over, you could potentially be saving someone in the future. Flimsy Debate says, hope he's your ex. You contact the police and file for a restraining order. He's going to hit you next. Trust me, honey, I've been in your shoes. And then the OP says, he's my ex now. I should have clarified that in the OP. Thank you for your suggestion. I'm glad you're out of what you were in. No Signature says, listen, sweetie, years ago, my next door neighbor's daughter was unalived by her husband in the front of their son when she allowed him to come and get his stuff. She didn't want to involve the police or family. She had brothers and one was a police officer, so it wasn't as though she had no one to turn to for help. Please file a police report and pack up his things and have someone else pick them up. Or, as someone else suggested, have him meet you with the police present to retrieve his belongings. Get an order of protection because this isn't going to stop. And I wonder if there have been other things that have happened that you probably overlooked. Abuse comes in many different forms, and the way your windshield looks as a result of his anger should motivate you even more to involve the authorities and move on with your life as best you can. Please don't allow him back into your life, and please take seriously the advice that's been given here. Sending peace, prayers, blessings, love, and positive vibes your way. I'm going to end it there, especially since she said that she's ended it. I don't know how she's going to resolve it, if she is going to call the police in and file a police report. But we do know that they don't take DV that seriously. But still, she should create a paper trail. And if the police do fail her, at least she has done, I mean, I don't know what to say at this point because, yeah, women aren't taken seriously at all.
And you know what? I'm going to say it today. American men expect you to be soft and feminine with every man you meet, but then ask you what you were wearing or why you were even outside when you were raped. They expect you to be soft and feminine with every man you meet because if you have your guard up with a complete stranger, like a logical human being, well, now you're some hyper independent, masculine, fifth wave feminist who's going to die alone. Just get your cat, sis. You got to be soft and feminine with every man you meet because standards and expectations are for stuck up bitches and gold diggers. And God forbid you have them. Now you're like every woman out there trying to sleep with the upper 10% of men. Then you lower them. But if you're sexually assaulted, physically abused, lied to, cheated on, or manipulated, it's your fault because you fucking picked wrong. It is absurd. American men expect you to be soft and feminine with every man you meet while refusing to create a society that is conducive to fucking femininity. These are our alpha males, our protectors, our providers, our by default leaders. And they are so triggered and offended that I shouldn't have to bring out your feminine side. They literally create propaganda against it. It is absurd. I don't care how far we pretend to come in way of equality and feminism. The world is a patriarch. Men run society, and American men have successfully ran our society into the ground. You don't believe me? We are the only country literally in the entire fucking world that has the massive and staggering amount of mass shooters, of school shooters. I'm supposed to be feminine while my kids are getting shot during algebra with the fucking AK-47. We have the most serial killers, serial rapists, the most citizens incarcerated per capita, and we are the largest consumer of child pornography. This treacherous and violent society is where you demand I'm soft and feminine. I'm sorry, what? Your guys' fragile masculinity can't even wrap around the necessity of equality. I should be able to vote in a society I birthed children into. I should be able to obtain an education so I can vote and manage assets properly. I should be able to manage assets so that should my protector and provider pass away, my family is still safe and provided for. But your idea of equality in America is 6 weeks of an unpaid maternity leave with no health care. So while I'm still bleeding and nursing your newborn fucking child, I can go to work to pay 50% of the bills in a household I'm a second-class citizen in, to live in a society I am not protected and provided for. But you want me to be fucking soft and feminine. How about y'all be masculine? Because masculinity has never been toxic. The absence of it is. And America has a massive absence in real masculinity. You do not protect women and children by hiding them away from society. You protect them by creating a society that is safe for them. Have American men done that? Have you successfully done that? If so, please explain the President of the United fucking States to me. I'll wait.